What's up, losers? Today I decided to pump out some extra content for everybody. Because I know you can't get enough of me, haha. But I wanted to do something other than fat logic and nice guys for a change. Because doing the same things constantly can get a little stale over time. And, as they say, variety is the spice of life. And speaking of spice, what could be more spicy than interpersonal drama? Right, who doesn't love watching other people getting into pointless, trivial conflicts with their friends, family, and coworkers? Liars, that's who. So yeah, today I'm circling back to a subreddit I visited once before on this channel. Right at the start, r/am I the asshole? To check out a few posts and share my thoughts. This one is going to be a bit longer than my usual videos. So make sure to settle in, grab a snack or a drink if you want, and let's get into it. The first post we're going to be looking at was posted by user Commercial Object 941. And it is titled, "Am I the asshole for refusing to change one of my students' diapers outside of school hours?" Well, okay then. Sounds kinda gross, but whatever. Pinch your noses, and let's dive right in.
Hi everyone, I, 20 female, work full-time at a daycare with younger preschoolers, a few of whom are still in diapers. The other day I was at a barbecue with some friends from high school, and the friends of their parents were also there. I ran into one of my preschoolers, and her mom, and chatted with her for a little while. After a few minutes, the mom said that her kid's diaper was dirty, and asked if I could change it. I thought she was joking, so I laughed and made a joke back about how I'd only change diapers when I'm on the clock. Her friends that she was sitting with all kind of laughed awkwardly. But she looked at me dead serious, and said, "No, really, I don't change diapers." I felt really awkward, but just said, "No, sorry," and went to walk away. But then she started explaining to me that her husband is the only one who changes diapers. Because she's a germaphobe, and has a metaphobia, fear of throwing up, and she's only done it a few times, when she absolutely had to, and she always threw up after, which apparently she has a crippling fear of doing. I felt that regardless of the circumstances, it was inappropriate for her to ask me this. So I said no again. She seemed really shocked by this, and continued to explain how much she hates changing diapers, and how her husband wasn't here, so he couldn't help. I just told her that I don't like changing them either, and I think it's inappropriate for her to keep pushing this, when I have already told her no. She then said, "It's devastating to me to learn my daughter's favorite teacher has so little empathy," and after that I just walked away. A few minutes later, I saw her putting the kid in the car, and leaving, so I assumed she went to wherever her husband was to have him do it. I texted my boss to tell her what happened, because I am about to go on vacation, and I assumed that the mother would say something to her about it. My boss just told me that I could tell her about it in more detail when I get back, and she'd let me know if the mom said anything to her. But it seemed like I was in the right in saying no. I don't think I'm the asshole in this situation. I am not her employee, and even if I was, I still think that's not something you should ask someone to do outside of work hours. I do not know this mom well at all. We rarely talk at pickup or drop-off, and she was sitting at a table of her friends, who I presume know about her situation, and would have been better people to ask for help. I think if she would rather let her kids sit in a dirty diaper for the car ride home, instead of changing it herself, she shouldn't be going places without her husband. The only part of this that makes me feel a little bit like an asshole is the fact that the kid had to sit in their own poop for the car ride home. I just assumed that once I left, she would either ask one of her friends, or suck it up and do it herself. So, am I the asshole? Update plus more context. I was pretty sure I wasn't the asshole, but thank you all for validating that. A lot of people have been asking about what her plan for going to this party possibly could have been, and suggesting I call CPS to report neglect. So I wanted to add some stuff. I probably should have said this the first time around, but I've never posted here before. First, the school I work at is incredibly expensive, and the parents are all incredibly wealthy, so this kind of entitlement wasn't completely surprising to me. Also, I know this family has a nanny, that occasionally drops the kid off and picks her up. I know she's not a live-in nanny, but my boss says she's there enough of the time where she handles most diaper changes, especially since the child is older and sleeps through the night. I do feel bad for the husband, because he seems like a pretty nice guy, but I don't think he's changing the kid much more than any normal parent because of the nanny. Secondly, I talked to my friend's mom who was hosting the party. The mother was related to some people who were invited, and it was kind of an invite everyone you know type of thing. Apparently her family usually handles it when she's with them and her husband's not around. So I assume her plan was to have them do it. And then she ran into me and figured she didn't need to bother her family anymore, who I'm sure are getting fed up with changing a child that is old enough to start potty training. Then, once I said no, she was too embarrassed to go ask someone else. Finally, to everyone saying I should call CPS, I talked to my boss, who is completely on my side by the way, and we don't think it's necessary at this time. I truly believe she isn't with the kid alone often enough for it to be a problem. The kid has never had any kind of serious diaper rash that would indicate she's being left in a dirty diaper for long periods of time. And though her mom does drop her off with a dirty diaper occasionally, it does seem like it happened in the car. For those of you who've never changed a diaper, you can kind of tell when it's fresh versus when it's been sitting there for a while. We are going to keep a close eye on it, though, and keep a record of stuff like this. Though I agree this mom has some serious issues. If it's not causing any problems, no diaper rash, and it seems to be a very rare occasion, I don't think it warrants a CPS call.
Well, that was a long and messy tale, wasn't it? Where do I even begin? I guess the first point to address is the simple question of whether OP is the asshole in this situation. Which, I'm sure we can all agree, she's not. The idea that you can just get people whose services you use to provide the same services for free, when they're not on the clock, is ludicrous. And the way this woman asked for OP to do it, not even as a special favor, but as an expectation, well, the audacity and entitlement are something else. I know some well-off people are used to having things all their own way. But it really blows my mind that someone could get to a point in their life where they would demand that other people clean up their kids' crap. Literally. Just because they didn't want to do it. I can only assume that this woman never gets told no on anything. Because that's the only way I can wrap my head around the situation. Oh yeah, and the cheap emotional manipulation tactic of saying how disappointed she was to learn that her daughter's favorite teacher had so little empathy. Give me a fricking break. I can imagine few things more shameless than using your kid as a psychological weapon so transparently. Especially when you don't even care enough about the kid in question to change the diaper. There's certainly somebody in this equation who's running dangerously low on empathy. But it sure as hell isn't OP. With regard to the woman's supposed fear of germs and vomiting, I'm more than a little suspicious, since it all seems a little too convenient. But at the same time, what does it actually change? If you have a kid, it is your responsibility to take care of them one way or another. If you can't change the diapers, you have to make preparations so that someone who has agreed to do it is there to do it when the moment arises. You can't just go about your usual fun life and palm the diaper changing off to any random person who's around you when the baby soils themselves. That's honestly just the height of irresponsibility. And if you do happen to end up in a situation where there's no one else to do it, then vomit or no, you have to step up. You're the one who chose to have children. It is your job to make sure that the child is taken care of at all times. Putting the baby in the car with a dirty diaper to go and search for someone else to do it is just gross, and it's the exact opposite of good parenting. Like, you won't find me changing diapers or cleaning baby puke up or anything. But I'm not out here having kids. It's shocking to me how many people just decide to have children. despite being woefully unprepared, or unwilling to do what it takes to provide them with a happy and healthy home environment. What exactly did this woman think being a mother entailed? Taking pictures of the kid and posting them on Instagram, while everyone else does all the work. What a joke SMH. I sure hope for the kid's sake that her mother pulls her head in and learns to take care of her properly. But if this post is anything to go by, I can't say that I'm overly optimistic. Sighs. This next post is by user LargeSeat 3093. And it is titled, "Am I the asshole for refusing to pay for my daughter's wedding, even if I promised to?" Sighs. A wedding. You just know this one is going to be frustrating. Oh well, let's give it a read.
My 39 male daughter, 21 female, is going to get married this June. Since she was a little girl, I promised to pay for her wedding. But something happened 2 days ago that made me change my mind. Background. My ex-wife and I had our daughter at a very young age. 18. We got married. After 6 years of marriage, I could find myself and come out to my wife. She understood, and we had a very amicable divorce and split custody. My daughter was always daddy's girl and always got along well with my partner, 38 male of 14 years. She is planning her wedding. I was paying for it, and let me know a few things she wanted for her special day. Since their future in-laws are so conservative and religious, my husband is not allowed to attend the wedding. I said, okay, it's your day. My son, too, can't attend either. No, it's not going to be a child-free wedding. I can't talk about my lifestyle, because she doesn't make her in-laws uncomfortable. Therefore, I told her that if her in-laws are so important, they should pay for the wedding. She got mad at me and called me a child, and said that if I keep on with this attitude, she'll ask her father-in-law to walk her down the aisle. Then I said, fine, if my family isn't welcomed, and I'm excluded, I'm not paying for the wedding. She was furious, and said I was being selfish, picking favorites, and not thinking about her at all. She complains that they can't afford the wedding, since they are both too young, and reminded me it was a promise I made. Everyone, including her mom, is calling me selfish. So, am I the asshole here?
Wow, this one is both infuriating and profoundly sad. To begin with, it's pretty demoralizing to hear that the fiancé's family is so bigoted and close-minded that they would refuse to allow OP's husband to go to the wedding with him. As much progress as has been made on LGBT acceptance in recent years, it's always sobering to see just how many people still cling to old prejudices, and how much more work remains to be done before gay people can feel truly welcome on all levels of society. As disappointing as this might be, however, it's hardly unexpected. Like, we might not like it, but we all know that there are people who refuse to accept gay people. What really stings here, then, isn't the behavior of the other family. It's the behavior of OP's daughter, and that of her mother, and everyone who is siding with her over OP, because let's call it what it is. By refusing to stand up for her father, OP's daughter is betraying him. There's just no other way to view it. The fact that OP's daughter has the temerity to ask her father to pay for the wedding after that kind of betrayal and disrespect just makes your blood boil, doesn't it? OP is completely right. If the wedding is going to be conducted according to the other family's terms, they should foot the bill. It's as simple as that. OP's daughter can get the frick out of here with her whining and guilt-tripping. What a joke. I don't really see the point of big weddings in general. I must admit, it seems like a colossal waste of money to me. But isn't a big part of the whole wedding thing supposed to be bringing two families together? If one of those families is being forced to erase who they truly are to appease the other family, under threat of exclusion, I don't see the point of even having a wedding. I guess OP's daughter just wants to wear her pretty white dress and feel special. And she doesn't care who she has to stab in the back to get it. All I'll say to that is, I hope it's worth it. The last post I'm going to be looking at today is by user Miss Miles 11, and it is titled, Am I the asshole for being mad my boyfriend won't make noodles the way I like? We've already had homophobia and borderline child abuse, so I figure a post about noodles is bound to end things on a lighter note. Right, at least, I sure hope so. I guess there's only one way to find out. At any rate, let's get into these damn noodles.
Okay, this sounds dumb, but hear me out. I have always been a picky eater, especially when it comes to tomatoes. Ever since I was a kid, my dad would make my spaghetti different from the rest of the house. I like having an essence of the sauce flavor on the noodles, but not the overpowering flavor having noodles bathed in sauce creates. So, here's where it gets a bit odd. My dad would separate my spaghetti from the family's after putting the sauce on and then would rinse the sauce off with the sink and strainer. I love noodles like this as it is a nice subtle tomato vibe given to the mild spaghetti. My boyfriend, 26, has known about this since we first started dating. He always told me my food habits were cute. We have been dating for almost 3 years now, and moved in together at the beginning of the pandemic so we could be in lockdown together. Ever since we moved in together, he insisted on taking charge of cooking, and all cooking-related tasks, dishes, grocery shopping, etc., and he assigned me the role of cleaning the bulk of the apartment. We split other tasks pretty much 50-50 too. Everything was perfect, and he always seemed so be making noodles the way I liked them when we had them. This was until last week, when we last had spaghetti. We ate, and everything was good, but afterwards he started teasing saying things like, you really like your pasta with an essence of tomato, and, how was your tomato essence, babe, always using finger quotes around the word essence. After a few comments, I felt something was off, and asked him if he had done anything differently with tonight's noodles than he usually does. And he started laughing. When he finally stopped laughing, he told me the whole truth while smirking. He said, I didn't do anything different than I usually do. I have never been making it the way you have requested. Apparently, the entire time we've been living together, he's just been skipping the pasta sauce on my noodles entirely. He claimed that if I didn't notice for this long, then it shouldn't matter that he is making dinner in a way that is easier for him. I disagree entirely. I think the lying was a huge breach of trust, and so was the refusal to make dinner how I wanted. I have admittedly been acting passive-aggressively to him since, but he thinks he did nothing wrong, that I'm overreacting, and that I need to let it go. Am I the asshole?
Oh God, I think I just lost some brain cells. How do people end up in a dispute over noodles of all things? Is it really that hard to just not be a total weirdo? Haha. If I were to try to identify the bigger asshole in this scenario, it's a little difficult, because there's an argument for each side, silly though they may be. The guy could rightly point out that the essence of tomato thing was a load of hokum, because if it really made a significant difference to the flavor, she would have noticed when it wasn't there. Being real, she probably just wanted her noodles done differently, because it made her feel quirky and special, which I can understand to some extent. I mean, we all have our self-indulgent idiosyncrasies, don't we? At the same time, there was no reason for the guy to deceive her the way he did, and embarrass her by pulling a big reveal about it. If he didn't want to do it, he could have just refused to do it from the start, or not volunteered to do the cooking. Even though it's such a small matter, there's something weirdly sadistic about the way he went about the whole thing. Like, why did he get such a kick out of it? I think my final verdict is, the guy is the asshole, and OP is just a bit pampered and gullible. But at any rate, I think I need to move on from this post before my IQ sinks into the negatives. Haha. Seriously though, noodles, people really will find absolutely anything to fight over. SMH. Well, that's all I've got for you today. This was something a little different. So I hope you enjoyed reading the posts with me and hearing my opinions on them. What do you think? Was the first OP right to say no to changing the diaper? Or should she have done it for the sake of the child? Is the second OP obligated to live up to his promise, even when his daughter has disrespected him and stabbed him in the back? Is tomato essence a real thing, and is the third OP's boyfriend a low-key psychopath? Let me know in the comments. Also, let me know what you thought of the video, and whether you want to see more like it in the future. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe, or I'll sneak into your house and tamper with your noodles, and you'll notice that they're ever so slightly different to how they were before. But you won't quite be able to put your finger on what the difference is. And then you'll start to question yourself, and eventually it will drive you insane. Just kidding, haha. Anyway, catch you later.